If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an extra supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
All right, everybody, join me right now, and this is a treat for me because I've probably done over 1,000 interviews at this point, mostly on the MMA side of things, but I've actually never interviewed somebody that I went to freaking high school with, so this is something else. She is 7-0 as a pro boxer, and most recently, she captured the USA New England Super Bantamweight title at CES Boxing in Rhode Island back in February. Amanda Pavone is joining me, the Hands of Stone herself. How about this? How are you, Amanda?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
What a small world we live in, right? Never thought I'd be interviewing somebody I went to high school with, and now here we are. But first of all, congratulations on winning the belt a few weeks back. Very exciting stuff. But I guess personally, I want to go back to the beginning of this because we went to Burlington High School together in Massachusetts. You were 2 years behind me. And you know how it is in high school. Like, people talk about who, like, the toughest are in the school. And I remember, like, I want to say it was like a year or two after I left. And I remember people saying, like, oh, you got to check out Amanda Pavone. Like, she's super tough. And I was like, oh, come on. I'm like, she is so nice. Like, she wouldn't hurt anyone. And then years later, you're rising up the boxing scene, and you're one of the top super bantamweight prospects in the sport right now. So I guess the question is, like, how did this all start for you, getting into boxing and finding a love for the sweet science as it is?
Oh, man. Well, it's a funny story, not a normal story whatsoever. But it was, I think, 2009 might have been when I started. And I was actually working. For years, I've been working in the kitchen, like, as a chef. And I remember at that time, I was, like, watching TV, and I was watching some fights, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I want to do that. That looks awesome. And I remember, like, looking into gyms and stuff, and they're expensive, and I wasn't, like, set on it. I was just, like, something that interests me. And one night we were working, and my buddy, after work, we're like, cause this was, I used to drink a lot of Jack Daniels back in the day. And he's like, yeah, let's go to this bar, in Southie, complete dive bar. He's like, the drinks are really cheap. And the guy that actually owns the bar, like, his son, fights. He's a fighter, and he's like, he's not a trainer, but he, like, helps people out, like, with boxing and whatever. So I'm like, all right, let's go. So we go and we get there, and I've had a few too many, and I'm just like, first time I meet this guy, his name's Danny Kelly. He owns Whitey or Croke Park, I think is the actual legit name, in Southie. And I'm like begging this guy to let me, like, hit the mitts, and he is just like, absolutely not. Like, who are you? Like, no. And I just, like, would not let it go. And I just kept asking. And finally, he, like, took me in this little, like, back room, like, little basement, like, type thing. And let me, like, punch the mitts. And he was, like, so impressed with, I guess, just my power of, like, how small, like, short, I am. And was like, holy shit. And honestly, after that, like, I went in, like, that back room in the bar a couple of times, and after that, he hooked me up with my first trainer, Jimmy Farrell, and literally, I started going, and I have never stopped since. And I just, at first, it was kind of just, like, a thing, and I really liked it. I never thought I would ever, like, make it a career or anything, but I did a lot fast. I moved up quick, and then I just kept going, and now here I am.
What a crazy story that is. Started at a dive bar in Southie, and now look at you. You're a champion. And when I do these, like, I try to go back and research as best I can. The only other time I really have talked boxing was, how boxing is used in MMA, how some fighters came from the boxing world and transitioned in MMA, or, of course, the Mayweather-McGregor stuff. And I know we talked a little bit off that before you got on here. But, kind of looking back at your credentials, I mean, holy moly, I believe it was 6 New England Golden Gloves titles, multi-time silver medalist in the Nationals, silver in the Worlds. I mean, you had quite a run in the 2016 Olympic trials. trials, which we'll talk about in a minute. But, all of these things, you're rising very quickly, and they're learning experiences. All these things are making you better. They're making you stronger as a fighter and as a person. So as you're preparing and kind of finding all the success with all these tournaments, what kinds of things are you learning along the way about the sport of boxing and really about yourself as a fighter?
Well, I learned, a lot more about myself. Like for me, I think, the reason why I do this is more such like a personal thing. Like for me to, it's discipline, it's hard work, and I screw up a lot of the time, but it keeps me in track, and what I have learned is that you can't just, do whatever the hell you want and expect to get in there and do well. Like it takes a lot of preparation, and you absolutely have to be disciplined. And that's what I struggle with, actually. Still to this day, every single day. Like I somehow always seem to make weight last minute because food is like my favorite thing in the world, and that's what I struggle with more. But it's just, you have to be so disciplined, and I'm just trying to figure out how to do that, because I feel like at one point I was good at that, and now it's kind of just like I just gotta find that way back. But
I was just gonna ask you if being a chef was something positive for you as a boxer, or if it's like a hindrance for you as a boxer, because, I know if I could make the foods that you can make, I'd probably make everything and I'd weigh like 400 pounds right now. But does it help you in terms for like meal preparation and things like that? Or are you like, I wish I could just make the best bomb cheesecake on earth and just crush that to my face right now? Like, what is that for you?
It does not help me. It's terrible. It's really, really bad. Cause I have like food is like my thing, and I just, in the kitchen, I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want. So it's just a constant and like, I just recently actually left the kitchen a few months ago, because also, besides the fact of there being food everywhere, I'm working 50 to 60 hours a week, plus I'm trying to train, cram all my training in like before work every single day, working 10, 11, 12 hours a day, and it's like on my days off, be a good day to rest, but it's the only day that I can get in extra work at the gym. So it's just, after years, it kind of was just like, I can't do this. I can't do both of these anymore. And I'm just 33 years old. Like I only have a limited time physically to be able to do this sport. And I'm like, screw it. I'm just gonna go for it. So I quit my job, and I work at a gym now, and I'm like barely surviving to like pay rent. But I was like, you made this decision, and you're gonna go with it, so
you're all in.
Anyways, to answer your question, no, the kitchen does not help at all. Although I did find out that like it doesn't really matter if I'm in the kitchen. Like I'm just gonna find food no matter what, because I still struggle with it. But it's not as bad as having it, in front of your face every single second of every minute.
So you're all in now with boxing.
Yeah. I mean, yep.
How does that feel?
It feels good to be, doing what I want, for sure. Like I remember the first, couple of weeks when I left, I was like, oh my God, I'm so much happier. This is so much better. But like, it's such a struggle, because I'm like, I literally, since I left, I'm just like, week by week, like, how am I gonna pay my rent this month? Like it's bad, so yeah, so that's the tough part, really. And then it's like, it's a lonely sport, you don't really have much of a social life. Like you want to go out, but you can't, because you can't eat or drink, and you're always trying to make weight, and it's a lot of sacrifice.
Speaking of making weight, I was reading up on you in the Olympic trials, and I saw that you had to drop to 112 pounds to compete in that. So what was that experience like for you, especially being such an avid lover of food? How difficult was that for you to not only drop a considerable amount of weight, but like go way below what you're used to walking around and fighting at?
Yeah, that was that was crazy. I can't even believe, like, I don't know if I would ever be able to do that now, because I walk around now at like, well, I finally like lost a little bit of weight, but I'd say like 135 or something. But at my heaviest, which was actually like recently, I was like walking around at like 140, 145, and it's like, that was horrible. I used to always fight amateur at 119, and I would struggle to make that weight. Honestly, most of it is just because I eat so much. If I could just eat like a normal person, I could probably eat whatever I wanted, but it's all like portion. Like, I eat a lot and I like cannot stop. But anyways, making 119 was even a struggle for me. 119. And I would make it like almost like pros, like in the amateur. Like, amateur is much different because you have to weigh in same day. You can't do like the drastic weight cuts as you do in pros. You don't have the extra day to rehydrate and stuff. But I do remember exactly when that time came around. And the reason why it was 112 is because it was the first year that they were taking women's boxing to the Olympics. And they only took 3 weight classes: 165, 132, and 112. And 132 was more close to my weight, but I'm like, the girls at 112 are like, that's what I should weigh. These girls at 132, are walking around heavier, and they're so much bigger than me. So it made, like, I would have gotten killed at 132. So I remember it was actually right after I had fought for the New Englands. We had to weigh in, and you have to weigh in at whatever, weight that you're going to fight at in the tournament. And I had just fought, so I had already made 119. And to be honest, I'd never really tried to even ever go past that because, I make 119, I fight, I'm 10 pounds up the next day, and I've never tried to go more than that. Why would I anyway? Never even thought I could make it, but I'm like, screw it, I'll just try. And the first time that I had to make 112, I didn't have to fight. I just had to weigh in. So I did this like water cut, this 5-day water cut, which is actually what I do now every time I have to make weight, like 5 days out. But if I had to fight, like as an amateur, if you have to fight, you just can't do it. You'll like have no energy and won't be able to fight because it's same day. But I was like, screw it, I'll try. And I try it, and I think I lost, I don't know, it was like 14 or 15 pounds in the 5 days. And I weighed in at 112. And luckily, later on, whenever the actual tournament was, I didn't fight until like the end of the week. So I only had to make it once. And then I kind of had a couple of days to like let my weight like set in. And it's weird. It's like at first, I look like, oh my God, I look like crackhead. It's really bad. It was bad. But then after a few days, it kind of settles in and it's all right. So I was lucky that I didn't have to fight during the beginning of that week. And I was lucky that I didn't have to fight the first time that I weighed in because I did that cut. But anyways, I made it. I was 112 for a while, never sitting at 112, but like fought at 112 for that tournament. And then, but then slowly after that, I just climbed back up in weight. But yeah, it was really, really tough.
So you're dropping to 112, and weight cut is a big thing in the MMA world as well these days. But overall, going through the Olympic trials, preparing for that opportunity to compete in Rio, what was that experience like for you?
Oh my God, it was crazy. It was great. Like, the thing that sucks kind of is amateur boxing at like the national level is, unfortunately, there's a lot of politics, so they have like the girls that are on like the team, and you're not supposed to, but obviously, all the judges and all the officials, everyone, they know those girls. So it's like, unless you really, really, really like beat the crap out of somebody, you're probably not gonna, get the decision. Sometimes you will, but that's, it's not just amateur, it's pro too, it's anything. But Now I forget the question. What did you? How was it? I forget what you asked.
The experience, yeah, the experience of just going through, the trials and everything, and got to the politics and stuff. But and I guess I'll follow up with, based on what you just said, did you know that heading in, like how politically based USA amateur boxing is, and if so, why even do it?
Yeah, I definitely knew it. But do it because it's possible. I remember one time actually at one tournament, this girl, Destiny, she was fighting at 141, and she fought this girl, I forget what her name was, Berta or something, and the girl was on the team, and she was, ranked high, and the girl Destiny actually ended up winning, and it was like this crazy thing because it was that just doesn't happen against the number one girl. But like, of course I'm gonna try. Of course, it's such a good opportunity. Like, of course I'm gonna try. Like, I'll go there. Yeah. And I ended up actually the first fight. I ended up fighting a girl from the Army, and I got robbed. There's a lot of robberies, or I don't know. Everybody's always biased to their own thing, but I'm pretty sure I didn't lose that fight. And then I fought again, and I ended up losing to the girl who's, I think, number one now, like, on the team. But that first fight was not, she's from the Army. They look out for the people in the Army. It's just, it sucks, but, that's the world, right?
But you learned a lot, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes, maybe not those ones, but I remember my first loss. And sometimes, you learn more from, like, a loss than you do from a win, so.
Another similarity between MMA and boxing, and they're certainly different. But there's a lot of things, certain approaches that are similar. Like, I talked to a lot of fighters about going from amateur to professional, and there's a lot of different paths, from one to the other. I've talked to fighters who've never had an amateur fight that went straight to pro, and I've talked to others that had 30 amateur fights, and each path and each story is different. So for you, was it the Olympic trials that had you saying, you know what? I've gone through this. I've done the drastic weight cut. I'm ready. No more Amy politics. Let's get this moving. Let's go to pro. When was that decision made for you to go from amateur to professional?
Yeah, you're right. It was probably right around there. I remember, like, years before I went to the trial, I kind of wanted to go pro because I feel like my style is definitely more like a professional style. I'm not like fast and quick and like point scoring. Like, I'm more like aggressive, like stronger. Just the all around style is like much more professional. So I remember years ago being like, oh, I want to go pro. And then it's like, that's kind of dumb because you're young, whatever, not really experienced. So, did the amateur thing. And then it's like, what's the goal, for being an amateur would be either, the trials, getting to the Olympics, or making the team. And unfortunately, the girl on my weight class has been on Team USA for like, I don't even know, probably 10 years. I don't know, a long time. So like, to get that spot is gonna be nearly impossible. Which is funny because I did fight one more tournament after the trials against the number one girl, and I was so happy. I thought I won. Everyone thought I won, and didn't get it. So after that, I was just like, yeah, no, we're gonna go pro now. I'm not waiting another 4 years. I'm not that young.
So you go pro, and you were pretty active in 2016, 3 wins, and then I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the point where I started to really take notice, and it was a fight that I think a lot of other people took notice, was the St. Patty's Day fight last year against Sarah Click. And, I knew who Sarah was, just because of the MMA and the Muay Thai background that she had, training at Sityo in Boston. I think she's actually fighting for LFA next month as well. But, that was her boxing debut. But, is it fair to say that the preparation, the approach of that fight was wildly and vastly different for you? Mostly because, you're used to fighting boxers and people who've trained in boxing. She doesn't really have a lot of fighting experience in the boxing sense. You know what I mean? Was it a little bit different preparing for a fighter like Sarah as opposed to anybody else you prepared for?
Honestly, no. Same thing. Yeah. Didn't prepare any differently, really. That first girl my first fight was against another MMA girl too, Kayleen Medeiros or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, or Kate, yeah. But yeah, no, I just trained like normal, like, you know.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Whatever. Just go at it aggressively. Nothing. Obviously, their style's a little different. It's awkward stances, but you've already been used to that. You've already been up against someone who's got that MMA background. So your last couple fights were for CES Boxing, and I do a lot of coverage for the MMA promotion, and I actually even interviewed a fighter on their next card, which is coming up at the end of the month. Interviewed him a little bit earlier tonight, but last month he took on Marcia Agrippino, I believe her name is, for the vacant USA New England Super Bantamweight title. And that was your first professional title fight, right?
Yes, it was. Very exciting.
So as someone who's going up through the ranks, you're rising fast. When you get the phone call that you're fighting for a belt, what's your reaction to that?
Oh my God, that was amazing. It was good. I mean, it's unbelievable because that's like, it's even more like, I don't ever want to lose, ever. And I'm very competitive, but it's like, it's even just like an extra, I don't even know what word it's just something extra to even just push like even that much more further to. But Marcia, yeah, we actually had fought each other in the amateurs when we were both novice, like less than 10 fights. And I hadn't seen her or worked with her. We used to spar together like back way, way, way back when. So it was interesting. I knew it was going to be really tough. She's tough. But it's really, really exciting, and that's only going to get me further. People are starting to call and actually like know who I am and notice. So it's like that's huge. It's a big step.
Did the training camp feel any different to you? Like, I know every fight's tough. Every woman you fight is tough, but having a belt attached to the fight camp, was there any extra oomph? Did it feel special? Did it feel different, or was it kind of business as usual?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, my mindset was a little bit different. Like, like I always gotta win, but like this, like you cannot lose this fight. Absolutely not,
Did you feel like there was more pressure on you in that sense, or was your team trying to kind of like calm you down a little bit? Because I know, I talk to coaches who prepare guys for title fights, and some of them approach them differently. Some of them approach it like, you can't lose. Like, this is your one shot. You got to make it happen. Others like, you know what? Enjoy this. Just enjoy the process from step one to getting into the ring or getting into the cage. What was the approach like for you?
It was like, honestly, same as any other thing, no extra pressure. Just honestly, my every time I fight, like my fight is like making the weight. It's like, all right, if I made the weight, like, okay, the hard part's over, because that's like my struggle. That's my struggle. Come to the gym, I'll be in the gym, forever, but can't seem to put the fork down. So that's like, and then if I do that, like, I feel like I've accomplished something at least already. But yeah, as far as the camp, it's pretty much just the same thing. My coach has like a lot of different, professional fighters. So he goes to a lot of fights. Sometimes he's not there. And so everything was just pretty much the same.
And Shelly Vincent was on that card as well, right?
She was, yes.
I got to meet her at a Bellator event I was covering in Mohegan Sun. She had actually crashed the weigh-ins for that fight because Heather Hardy was fighting Christina Williams on that card. And Shelly sat right next to me on Media Row, and I was like, oh, you're the girl who crashed the weigh-ins yesterday. And she was getting a lot of media attention from the MMA media that night. And then Heather Hardy got beat up really badly in that fight. But, what kind of relationship do you have with Shelly Vincent?
Oh, we're boxing friends, but I've actually known Shelly. Oh, it's funny actually. We actually fought my first national Golden Gloves. We fought, and that was right before I think maybe she went pro. But like we spar each other. We used to spar each other a lot more, I would say, a few years ago. But we actually sparred each other a couple times for this fight. Not too much though, because she's like real good friends with Marcia, so but no, we talk whenever we need sparring. We'll get together, and so we're like, I wonder if we'll ever fight one day, because I don't know. Maybe we might.
Oh man,
I don't know.
there's a story there. There's a story.
Yeah, I know, right?
Be some interesting promos heading into that on HBO or Showtime, wherever it's gonna be happening. But let's talk about the title fight. You go 8 hard rounds with Marcia. You get the decision. You get yourself some gold around your waist. So I have to know, since I will never have gold around my waist, so that's like a fantasy football title or something. What did that feel like to not just be, undefeated fighter Amanda Pavone, but becoming Amanda Pavone champion? Like, what was that like for you?
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, that's what you work for. You know what I mean? So it was great. A title. I mean, I want like a world title. You know what I mean? That's what I want. So that's just the beginning, So, but no, it felt, unbelievable.
You've had 4 fights in the last calendar year. What's next for you? Like, do you keep the momentum going and stay as active as possible? Or do you, keep training, keep staying sharp, but sort of smell the roses before the next one?
We're trying to just fight like as soon as possible. I almost actually, was going to fight in a couple weeks from now, but the fight, it fell through. But, that's what I usually do. Like when I have, after a fight, I just kind of go off the deep end a little bit. And I just like that as the discipline thing that I've been talking about earlier. And I like that actually, the question you asked before, that is what I need. That's what I'm learning, that like, I cannot, if I want to like succeed, like I can't do that. Like I can't just fight and then like, go out and have fun and then, get back in shape. It's like, I need to stay in shape, especially now that, I'm getting up there higher in the rankings. Like people are going to call, want a last minute fight. It'd probably be like a good payday fight and I have to be ready, and I can't be like, oh no, I can't fight because I have to lose 27 pounds, like I need to stay disciplined. So yeah, we're trying to, I don't know, hopefully get signed maybe, and, just get a guaranteed. I'm not signed with anybody, so it's like tough right now because not all my fights, people don't understand that the fighters have to some fighters, in order to even get paid, you have to sell tickets and so many tickets, and you got to pay for your opponents, and then you make, not even that much after you pay out for your opponent to come, and it's a struggle, and it's like a hustle unless you do have a promoter that you're signed with and have, a certain amount of money that you're getting paid, whatever. But right now I'm not signed with anybody, so I kind of got to bust my ass. Yeah, and it sucks. But
what's it like fighting under a promotion run by Jimmy Birchfield Sr.? I mean, that guy is something else. He is full of piss and vinegar, that guy. And he got himself in a little bit of a scuffle at the end of the night. So, what is that like, fighting for him? And, what was your reaction to what happened at the end of that night?
Oh man, that was funny. See, I was in the locker room. I was showering and changing, and I was watching it on the TV. And it was, oh man, that was funny. But it was fine. I actually had never fought for CES before my last 2. So the last one, and then before that, I came on and fought Karen Doolin for the second time. There. And when I was there, they actually were like, oh, are you interested in coming back? Because, we know somebody that might want to fight you, Marcia, and whatever. So then they brought me back, and yeah, it was good. It's nice. It was good. That was funny though, right?
Oh my God, I couldn't believe that. I got a message on Twitter from one of my fellow media members. He goes, "Dude, did you see what happened at CES?" Because we love Jimmy and we think he's such a character. And I'm like, no way. And he sent me the video, and I was like, what is going on here? But that's just a promoter sticking up for his guys.
The last fight, they brought me out to come into the ring to go and fight, and then Jimmy gets on the mic. Oh my God, I was there for 20 minutes. We gotta go now. Yeah, it was bad. I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
Oh, I can't wait to tell my friend Nolan that. Oh my God, we covered the last CES event and the same thing happened. Like one of the fighters came to the ring and Jimmy got in the ring. And I love Jimmy. I'm not ragging on Jimmy, but that's just who he is. It's so funny. It just makes him Jimmy. That's what makes him such a special promoter. So how many times do you think you want to fight this year? Like, are you expecting like another 3 or 4 fights?
Oh, I mean, I would like to, I mean, as much as I can, because like I said, the more off time I have, the worse it is for me. So, and I finally, like, it was always a struggle, like working in the kitchen and stuff. And it's like, it's not working in a kitchen, is really hard work. Never mind the fact that you can't just be like, oh, I can't work today,
Right.
It's not flexible. They don't just give you time off when you ask for it. So that was always such a big thing for me too, is I'm like, how, I'd always be so nervous about that. What am I going to do about work and this, and never mind the fact that just not even being able to rest ever. But yeah, now that I'm in a gym, working the gym, that's why I did it, is now it's flexible and I'm just trying to just go as much as I can.
That's great. So
basically,
yeah, so you're just on a tear right now. So a couple more questions before we let you go. I didn't realize we were talking for 30 minutes, but holy moly. As a boxer yourself, you said you really found the sport watching it on television. So who are the fighters that you like to watch? Like, are there any must-see boxers that, like, anytime they fight, you have to watch them, or are you just a fan of the sport in general?
Honestly, it's like, I'm like really bad because I don't even know. I just like to fight, I don't watch as much boxing as I should. I don't watch that much. I mean, I do, but like, I need to start watching it a lot more. Like, I don't know even too much about it. I just like I said, it's more of like a personal thing for me. Like, I just want to get in there and fight, so I don't have any favorites or anything like that. So
you're your favorite fighter. When you fight, you're gonna watch and you're gonna fight.
Yeah, I guess.
That's
it's embarrassing to say. Like, I have to start, I enjoy watching it. I just I don't like you were just asking. I don't have like a favorite person that I
mean, there's a lot of fighters that I interview that don't watch MMA at all. Like, they fight, they train, and they separate themselves totally from the rest of the sport. I don't think that's what you're trying to do. I just think you're so busy, you just maybe don't even realize that there's boxing on television. But there are people who just on purpose separate themselves from it so they could have a life outside of it.
That's
but
funny.
But that's what happens.
No, that's not what I do. But I don't. But yeah, I just remember seeing it was one of those 24/7 episodes on
Showtime.
HBO.
Oh, HBO, that's right.
Baggy, and I don't know even who it was, but I was like, and I really, I don't know.
Do you feel like the sport's kind of? I remember back in the 80s growing up, obviously it was Tyson and all the heavyweight boxers, and in the 90s you got a little bit more of that too. 2000s were about the lighter weights, the Floyd Mayweathers, the Manny Pacquiaos, and then it seemed like the last few years boxing, people are saying boxing was dead, MMA is going to take it over, and now over the last couple of years, we've seen the heavyweights kind of have this resurgence. We've seen the spotlight on boxing a little bit more. Do you feel, as someone who's 7-0 and are on the run that you're on, do you feel like now is the timing really lines up for you to be in the sport right now, that things are starting to move in a good direction for boxing?
Well, actually, yeah, I guess I never thought about it, but actually, yeah, because especially women's boxing is much, just being definitely not as much as the men, but it's now being more recognized. Finally, women are on TV, finally we still don't get the pay that we deserve, or it's, we're not nearly as close to the men, just equal to them, but it is getting better. It is getting better now. So yeah, it is a good time.
I remember
who knows what will happen, but the thing is too, is that for women, if you in the MMA is the way to go for women. You get in the UFC, getting paid pretty well.
Even outside of it sometimes too. I mean, Heather Hardy's probably making pretty good money in Bellator. I know Anna Hulaton made pretty good money in Bellator. That kind of brings me, I was talking to Angela Reyes, who trained Anna Hulaton for all these years. Of course, Anna was a world champion in boxing. She is recently retired over the last year or so. And me and Angela like had this thing where I was like, don't you think there should just be like a women's, like there should be a card, just all women's fights, or like do some sort of, just have one of these networks, just have a whole contingency of just women fights. Like, I think there'd be a big market for that, and no one's jumped on that yet. Like, is that crazy to you?
Yeah, that's funny, actually. I just heard that in April, actually, Lou DiBella is putting on an all-female card. I don't know where, maybe New York, I'm not sure. But that's gonna, like you just said, that's gonna be the first time that's ever happened. And like, yeah. And honestly, women, like, we are kind of like, we're the best to watch because we just don't give a shit. We just go, and it's like, it's very different than men's boxing, honestly. Yeah, but that's somebody should jump on that.
Ding, light bulb going off.
Yeah, right.
Now I just need like tens of millions of dollars, and I can make this happen for you, man. I'll give you the opportunity.
Right?
Yeah, I'll go to the ATM right now, and I'll pull a $10 million bill, and I'll get you out a card sometime. But Amanda, thank you for the time. This is really exciting stuff. Your career is on a great trajectory right now, and things are happening for you. I'm really happy for you, especially since we've known each other for a while. We've kind of lost touch over the years, and now look at us. We're having this conversation right now. But before we get out of here, I want to give you the opportunity to shout out sponsors, any shout outs in general, anything else that you didn't mention, shout out your gym teammates, anything you want to let the folks know about, social media, where to follow you on the web, all that good stuff. Let everybody know.
Oh, yeah, I'm really bad at social media. But Pavone 12 is my Instagram. Hector Bermuda is my coach. Just a shout out to all my sparring partners, my teammates, my family, everybody that supports me and buys tickets, because that is so huge. It's not even funny. And that's it. Yeah.
Amazing stuff. So Amanda's looking for sponsors. So if you watch this interview and you want to back, like, I look at Amanda like a good stock right now. Like, it's only going to rise at this point. So buy in low at the moment, and then get the big payoff down the road. So Amanda, Thank you for the time. Continued success, and we'll talk soon.
All right, thanks.